your full name. Hi, Connor. This one is for you. You mentioned something about localization earlier. How different is the Restart program here in the Philippines compared to, say, in Indonesia or elsewhere in Southeast Asia? What kind of localization efforts were included into the program?
We're not the best place to talk on this now. I don't think I'm super detailed on it relative to my Restart colleagues down the back here, but I'll have perspective on it. I think it's really down to the partners. So the program is changing, and for example, we do things like language localization. We'll do things like which we're doing from a T&C perspective globally. We localize a lot. Like if we need to cloud practitioner into various different languages, that'll get done. But in this program, I think in particular, it's do you predict 10 partners? If it's a very fragmented and you don't have one potential partner who can get you the reach you need for the program, then you sign up multiple. You may need to do it. Here, if you go with one, it's always better to go with one. In terms of the type of employers, like do you stick solely to partners, AWS partner system integrators like StratPoint, or do you think about in customers and what's your mental model around that? And, how do you build that? A lot of that is driven in partnership with our local country teams, and that's really where I see most of it. And then any other nuance at this stage, I think, is something I know there's a 9-week, 12-week variation. That's the first time, to be honest, I've really heard of that in the Philippines, but that may be in place everywhere. It looks like it's not. So this whole idea of the 9-week shortening the course here in the Philippines is something that's local to the Philippines. I haven't heard that before, so that's another example of where we're taking people maybe slightly further up on their graph in terms of cloud skills and then shortening that as a result, which I think is a smart thing to do.
Cool, thank you. Number one is, any plans of incorporating AWS or cloud practitioner learnings into the younger students in the Philippines, not just to the college, senior high school kind of students? Say something that you do with the education system in Indonesia, wherein kids of elementary and high school are being taught of cloud practitioner stuff.
We already do, I think, do we, Ted? I think we, so on the Laptops for Builders program, that's a specific Indonesian initiative, the one I mentioned earlier. We're not doing that anywhere else in the world right now, and we launched that specifically to do with our region launch last year in Indonesia. So, look, I think we're always looking at ways to build deeper connections into the community that we're trying to build. If you think about, again, AWS, in each of the countries we operate, we want to build a thriving community of builders, and that's our customers, our partners, and then our future customers, and that's where we go into third level and second level institutions. And I don't have any specifics to talk on that right now, but I think we'll continue to look at how we can get deeper into the whole education system in the Philippines.
Okay, cool, thanks. For Grace, what are the primary learning barriers that you have encountered in implementing or in doing the Restart program?
Common barrier first is because most of them are career switchers. So no tech background at all, and yet we see that the demand for employment is in the tech world. So first common barrier we see is that I don't have a tech knowledge, no tech background. Could I really be qualified to even just start? So of course that one we are addressing through communication and opening it really that this is going to be your step one to get that tech knowledge. So that's the first common barrier. Next is location, so which we have already dispelled, saying that it's not any more location that will limit your access to good training and to good job opportunities. So that's the usual. And what's nice is because the pandemic has opened it up also. So it doesn't become like a one-way conversation. It really is now also the expectation of Filipinos that it should allow them to have access regardless of where they are. Third, and I think that's the topmost, resource, how much it will cost. Diba? Pero there's always a notion of how much is the tuition fee? How much is that program fee that I have to pay? So we're taking that out all because this is actually going to be a free program for them. So that's going to be really obviously a good news for us Filipinos, which is like resources and confidence would always be the usual common barriers for us Filipinos of jumping into something new. And that's what AWS Restart is addressing as well.
Maraming salamat. Last lang, is more for you. What skills or traits of a good cloud engineer are you looking for to hire?
Thanks, Bob. That's a good question. I think one of the things that Restart addresses is that holistic approach. So aside, of course, from being technical and of course hurdling all of the certifications or technical exams, we're really also looking for communication skills. That's really key. I mean, especially in remote work, it might trump all of the other things like, we usually look for people who are as well creative because at StratPoint, we want to build and create new things. So we look for those traits as well. And then some other things aside as well from the technical, we actually call them our care values at StratPoint. So the C is creative, A stands for agility. We're looking for those who are agile and can quickly adapt. Then R in care is reliability. And you know that as clients, as companies put their systems into the cloud, we all know how painful it is to have some downtime in the apps that we use. So that also means that our engineers have to be reliable people as well. And the last in the care values, the E stands for evolve or evolution. So that stands for continuous learning. So when we screen, we look for people who always want to learn, keep updating themselves. Because if there's any one truth to all of this, it's that change is inevitable, technology will always be advanced, and we as well love technology and we always want to learn new technology. So we look for those who always want to be learning. So that's those are the characteristics that we're looking for.
Hi, although digital skills training bolsters the employability rate of both tech and non-tech workers, which is a win, won't this affect employee retention? Won't workers be incentivized to work overseas, widening the talent shortage in the country?
Is this addressed to me? Okay. Actually, I think as employers, StratPoint, the reality is we are competing in a global marketplace. It's a given, even for talent, right? So we better get used to being the best, not just in the Philippines, but in the world, even for employee talent. So I look at this as that's the reality and that's the challenge. That's, we are already in a big pond, right? So we better know how to compete globally because that's really what the challenge of all Filipinos, to be able to compete globally. So I'm all for elevating ourselves so that it doesn't matter. Here in the Philippines or anywhere else, it's the same. We are the best anywhere.
Last question for AWS. Can we expect the in-person AWS Skills Center also make its way in Asia in the future?
No comments. No, I can't give you any specifics on that right now. We have pre-announced a local zone. If you want to talk about that, which we're excited about, which shows our commitment to the country. I think overall. I think the more success we see in these programs, and certainly the first two cohorts of Restart have been an overwhelming success here. And we will, if you look at a lot of how we invest in countries, it's a lot of demand driven, right? And I think overall there's huge potential here. And honestly, I think the Philippines, certainly from an ASEAN context, is in a good spot in terms of the overall momentum we're seeing in this country in terms of cloud adoption across the many customers I mentioned. And I think there's an awful lot of tailwinds, and I think with the overall nation building lens around skills and investment, I think we will see huge momentum in use.
Thank you, Connor. I think we have one last question here, and this is for Christian and Claudia. If you had a message to those Filipinos who are unsure about the program, what would it be?
I think all I can say is that if you really are interested in tech, or even if you're just curious, go for it. You'll learn a lot of skills, and what's wrong with reading skills?
Yes, I think for anyone still on the fence, yeah, I'd like to mirror what Christian just said. Just seize the day and take the opportunity. And yeah, I think you could find that it would be life, or potentially life-changing. So as long as the opportunity is there, you might as well take it, because you don't know what, you don't know how your life would change. It could be for the better.
Thank you, Christian and Claudia, straight from the graduates of the program themselves. Now, thank you to all of our friends from the media, by the way, for all of your questions. Very good